Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston, and this is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. Going to bring you another show today with Warren Lesser, who is a pharmacist and has a pharmaceutical company out. Where are you?
Pharmaceutical firm.
No, where are you? You're Virginia or?
Oh, no, Kentucky, Louisville.
Kentucky. Okay, sorry. See, that's you're way out there. When you're in Texas, there's just out there. It's just non-Texas, right? So anyway, we on the heels of the last show where we talked with Laura Laval about protein and intake and building muscle, now we can get down into the muscle structure and talk a little bit about how to work with resistance training and take this a little farther. So welcome in. As always, I'm so glad to have you.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So today, this is the title page. For those who can see the slide presentation, it's the probable substantial health benefits of exercise and a product we have called Nufola. And with respect to the outline, we're going to go through the summary slide of what we presented last week, which was talking about the 9 Ps. And then myokines and exercise. We're going to talk about, well, the problem is it's hard to exercise if you don't feel good.
Yeah.
So Nufola is a product that we have. It's a pharma-grade dietary supplement that can help people feel better and have more energy so they might want to work out. And then we've got an acronym that we use as a promotion called Extend the Physician's Healing Hands once the patient leaves the office. So we have HANDS. And every one of those letters in the HANDS acronym stands for something. For example, homocysteine, antioxidants, nitric oxide, dopamine, and strength. These are all what comes out of taking Nufola.
Right.
And then how we decided to come out with Nufola. So where we left off in our last presentation, we were talking actually about relating the 9 Ps. If you remember about from marketing, there are many people who start up companies. And the tragedy is that 50% of entrepreneurs fail after 5 years and 70% fail after 10 years. Those are sobering statistics that come out of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics as of this year, actually, for 2023. And so we talked about the 9 Ps and how having a good business plan can augment the success of a company, especially a startup. And then we took the 9 Ps and we related those 9 Ps. Everybody has heard of product, price, place, and promotion. We expanded those Ps to include processes, people, packaging, which means appearance, and just 2 that we related to health, or the body, mind, and spirit. That would have to do with product and people. And then, of course, price, which has to do with health investment.
Right.
So when we think about health investment, do we want to invest in disease prevention or in disease treatment? I think almost everybody listening to this presentation would say, well, disease prevention.
Yes.
So what we kind of summarized the last presentation with was, well, here are some tips to help prevent disease. Do regular exercise, especially resistance training, and then eat a healthy, balanced diet, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables. Use olive oil big time. Eat more veggies and fruit and less fatty meat, less dairy, and less junk food. So these are logical steps, practical steps that we can take towards longevity. And then, of course, get regular checkups and from a functional medical doctor instead of a prescription writer, because a functional medicine doctor has more of an orientation to help prevent disease as opposed to just treating symptoms or treating the disease after you come down with something. And then make sure your diet is rich in folate and B12, which is mostly green leafy vegetables, spinach, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. But if you don't like that stuff, then you can take a pharma-grade dietary supplement like Nufola that has active absorbable forms of B12, which is methylcobalamin,
right,
and the active form of folate, which is L-methylfolate. Also in Nufola is vitamin B6 and alpha lipoic acid. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But if you take the above steps, our hopes are that you'll lower or maintain homocysteine levels, and we'll talk about why homocysteine is not very good for you at an elevated level, increase antioxidants, and increase positive neurotransmitters, improve strength and stamina, and potentiate the quality of life and longevity.
Yes.
So with respect to now loss of skeletal muscle, this comes out of Frontiers in Physiology, it says loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength has recently become a hot research topic with the extension of lifespan and an increasing sedentary lifestyle in modern society. We all know that Americans are more sedentary, and as we get older, we become even more sedentary.
Absolutely.
We lose muscle mass, and then what happens? We're more prone to injury because we don't have the muscle mass that supports our joint function, and we're more susceptible to injury. We're more susceptible to not doing as much because we can't. We get weaker, we get tired more easily. So skeletal muscle mass is considered an essential determinant of muscle strength and function. It makes sense. The bigger your muscles, the stronger you're going to be.
Yep.
And from the myocytes, which are muscle cells, myokines are released during muscular contractions. Now, what does that mean? That means, well, when I'm working out, my muscles are releasing myokines. Now, what does that do for me? Well, myokines help not only build muscle, but they help your regulation of your cells and your regulation of your tissue function and regulation of organs. Now, what that means is that myokines increase the communication among your organs. That's why after you lift weights or after you do some exercise, you're going to feel more alert. You feel better because the myokines not only stay in your muscles, they go throughout your body.
Yep.
They help your brain function. They help reduce adipose tissue. They help build bones. They improve your liver. They improve your gut function, your small intestine, your pancreas. Now, vascular bed, now what does that mean? It means capillaries. That means that, for example, diabetics who have peripheral neuropathy, they have poor circulation in their lower extremities. So if you can develop a lifestyle of exercise, including resistance training and aerobic exercise, then your vascular bed, your circulation is going to be improved. Your skin's going to be better. And myokines, they improve. That we just said cognition, so that means my ability to think clearly. Yes. I need to have more myokines. Yes. They improve your fat metabolism and your glucose metabolism. Yeah. So for people who are pre-diabetic or who are diabetic, you can help with the metabolism of glucose just by resistance training and with the release of myokines. Now, the other thing that's interesting, and this comes out of Society for Endocrinology, they talked about how myokines actually brown white fat. Now, what does that mean? Well, white fat through a process of the metabolic processes becomes metabolized. So we lose white fat, it turns into brown fat, and of course we get rid of the adipose tissue. Now, interesting, in that article, they also talked about fish oil and capsaicin. Capsaicin orally can help reduce or help brown white fat. So myokines are not only useful for browning white fat, but also in forming bones and bone cells, replacement of bone tissue. Yeah. So we know that as we get older, our bones become more brittle. So it's important that we have bone tissue formation and regeneration. And then endothelial cell function is improved. So what is endothelial cell? That's the inside of the linings of our arteries. Yes. So we want to make sure that our lining, the inside of our linings of our artery linings are smooth so blood can flow without being impeded.
Right.
The other very interesting thing about myokines is that they, when they're released, they can inhibit tumor growth because they have anti-inflammatory effects. And acutely, this is really interesting, acutely after each bout of exercise, and including a reduction in abdominal adiposity. So that means that every time we do resistance training, we have myokines released. They are anti-inflammatory in effect. They help inhibit tumor growth if we have any tumors going, and also help reduce abdominal adiposity. So there's you can't really overstate the importance of resistance training. Right. And unfortunately, baby boomers have shied away from resistance training. I think there's just all this thinking about, well, I got to run so far, aerobic exercise. Right. When really you need both. If I had a choice, I would you should do some aerobic exercise for sure, because I really like this one study that comes out of Endocrine Review in 2021, where they said even moderate aerobic training reduces cardiovascular risk by up to 50%. Right. And this study was a really good study, and they found that the subjects would run on a treadmill for only 20 minutes for 12 weeks, 20 minutes 3 times a week for 12 weeks.
Right.
So, and the subjects in this study were middle-aged men, and they found that kind of reduction in a long-term study on cardiovascular risk, so cardiovascular disease. So when you come down to the benefits of resistance training and aerobic exercise, they can't be understated. They have to be part of our choices, I think, to live healthily and to live.
The anti-aging and longevity of it all. It's the perfect little package with a bow on top, really.
Exactly.
Right.
So what happens with in Nufola? Nufola contains L-methylfolate, which is the absorbable form of folate. Folic acid is not absorbed very well by many people. Right. It has an active B6. It has active B12, because most B12 that you take, like cyanocobalamin, cyanocobalamin taken orally is very poorly absorbed, and alpha-lipoic acid. So if you take 1 or 2 capsules a day, here's what the product looks like. We talked about De Novo, which is a similar product for patients who have who need more better cognitive function, who may suffer from feelings of sadness, whereas Nufola is more geared towards circulation and improving energy. Nice. And so with Nufola, we came out with an acronym called HANDS, Extend the Doctor's Healing Hands After the Patient Leaves Your Office. And the first letter in HANDS is homocysteine. Well, what does Nufola do? It decreases homocysteine. Why don't we want homocysteine? Well, homocysteine is an intermediate byproduct of between methionine and cysteine. Now, where does methionine come from? Well, it comes from ingestion of meats, eggs. We as Americans, we eat too many meats, really, probably, and especially if we don't have enough folic acid, or as say folate and B12 in our blood system. So that what happens is that 32 to 65% of the population lacks methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, which is MTHFR. It's a enzyme that's responsible for converting methionine that's in food down to cysteine. Cysteine we need for DNA, we need for cell health. So it goes through our body. We need cysteine to live, period. Yeah. And what this is comes out of Harvard Health Publishing says a high homocysteine level. So remember, this is the intermediate product, and your body can't break methionine down to cysteine because you don't have enough folate or because you don't have the MTHFR. Right. And 32%, according to some studies, 32% of Asians and 65% of Hispanics have low MTHFR. Yes. So that means they don't metabolize methionine very well, and they are subject to having higher homocysteine levels. Right. But in Harvard Health Publishing, they state high homocysteine level is not something you want to have. Homocysteine is an amino acid in the blood, and elevated levels have been linked to dementia, heart disease, stroke, and osteoporosis. Absolutely. The good news is homocysteine can be lowered easily and inexpensively with a trio of B vitamins, B6, B12, and folic acid. Actually, folate is the active form. So in current clinical pharmacology, they talk about methylcobalamin, which is the active form of B12, can help reduce homocysteine levels. And in the European Journal of Medical, and there's so many sources, I'm just quoting a few here, the proportion of B12 and folate to homocysteine in the blood is inversely associated. So we really can't go wrong with taking supplements that have active forms of B12 and folate that are well absorbed. So there's a there, and then this comes out of the National Library of Medicine from Nutrition Journal, and what they say is that a significant correlation between too much homocysteine and cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks and strokes, endothelial cell damage, reduction in flexibility vessels, and alters in the process of hemostasis, lead to an enhancement of the adverse effects. That means adverse effects of risk factors like hypertension, smoking, aging, lipid, and systemic inflammation, which means that if you already have high blood pressure, if you smoke, if you're getting older, which I guess everybody's getting older who's listening to this presentation, if you have problems with lipid metabolism, or if you have systemic inflammation, if you have all those will be exacerbated by if you don't have enough folate and B12 in your body, if you have high homocysteine levels, which are correlated. So going down, Austin Journal of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. That's right. I think not too far from where you are. Yeah. that high homocysteine levels decreased B12 and folate levels, and it also that results in a decrease in nitric oxide. Now, why is this important? Because if you have high homocysteine levels and decreased B12 and folate levels, and it decreases your nitric oxide, that means you live in a state of vasoconstriction. So your blood vessels become constricted. It's harder for your heart to pump the blood through your vessels, and that's what leads to so many cardiovascular problems.
Yeah.
So that comes out of current clinical pharmacology.
Excellent.
And they also say that methylcobalamin reduces homocysteine associated with stress. So high levels of stress can also create more homocysteine in our body. So the bottom line on all this is that we may or may not have, many of us may have high homocysteine levels. If we don't know what our blood level is, if we haven't tested for it,
right,
then it's not going to do us any harm to take a good absorbable form of B12, which is methylcobalamin, and L-methylfolate, which is an absorbable form of folic acid, because that helps lower homocysteine.
And so we're about a minute and a half. I want people to be able to find some information. I'll throw this right before the break. So where can we find more information from your website and social media?
It's www.magnaweb.com.
Right.
So it's magnaweb.com.
And that is all over my website. So you just go to my website, because I work very closely with these good people. I'm telling you, he's got some fantastic products, and I'm very pleased to always recommend them. So also, too, you can find a couple of our previous shows. We talked a little bit more about MTHFR and homocysteine. So go to drpbetterlife.com. You can find information on Magna Pharmaceuticals, magnaweb.com, and also our previous shows, as well as the complementary shows on MTHFR and all. So take a look backwards and see. We're going to take a short break and be right back.
Depression, anxiety, low energy, weakness, these are just some symptoms of low B12 levels. And the absorbable B12 folate supplement that's helping people declare victory over depression symptoms is De Novo Plus B12 by Magna Pharmaceuticals. Patients with symptoms of depression often exhibit low levels of folate and vitamin B12. The human body needs sufficient folate intake to produce the essential neurotransmitters serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters alleviate feelings of sadness, anxiety, and gloom. What makes De Novo Plus B12 so successful? De Novo Plus B12 contains readily absorbable folate and B12. That means it's more successful at correcting the root cause of your deficiency, not just the symptoms. Whether you are suffering with low energy, depression, fatigue, or anxiety, you owe it to yourself to learn more at magnaweb.com. That's magnaweb.com. Please let us know at checkout that you heard about De Novo Plus B12 on The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Marianne Pinkston here with Dr. Warren Lesser, who is bringing some great information this morning, leading us down to aging well. We talked a little bit about resistance training and how to eat well, supplements you can take. A lot of great information on the first half. So let's pick up where we left off.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about the benefits of Nufola. The first one was lowering homocysteine, and how high levels of homocysteine are bad for us with respect to especially cardiovascular risk. But the other benefit, there's a few other benefits. One other benefit of Nufola is the fact that it's full of antioxidants.
Yeah.
And methylcobalamin, for example, which is the active form of B12, helps to regulate inflammatory factors. It counters oxidative stress and reduces cell death. And that comes out of the Drug Design, Development, and Therapy, an article that was published in 2021. And in diabetes care, they talk about alpha lipoic acid as being a potent antioxidant that improves nerve function and blood flow. So patients who have diabetes have issues with blood flow, especially in extremities. Yeah. And alpha lipoic acid can help.
With that neuropathy.
And that's also in Nufola.
Yeah.
Now, so that, the mechanisms of action of alpha lipoic acid is that it not only improves nerve blood flow, but it improves nerve conduction velocity. That means that how fast your nerves, the proper function and the quickness of your nerve impulses. Right. And diabetics often complain of pins and needles in their feet. They don't feel. We had one patient who said, I stepped on a nail. I didn't even know it.
Oh my gosh.
But after I took Nufola for 2 months, I had my feeling was coming back. My circulation was coming back. We have all kinds of stories like this. They go on and on.
Yes.
Methylcobalamin has also been shown to increase glutathione. Glutathione is the number one scavenger of free radicals. So it's a really potent antioxidant. And alpha lipoic acid can also help, in addition to its antioxidant properties, can help control blood sugar and improve cholesterol levels. Now, this comes out of Medical News Today in 2018. So, and there are many more sources. We don't quote just one source, but I'm just quoting one or two here in this presentation. So, alpha lipoic acid is becoming increasingly popular, and some people believe it may help with weight loss, memory loss, skin health, and other conditions.
Yes.
And when we look at this comes out of Oxidative Medicine and Cellular Longevity. And this is a really good peer-reviewed medical journal. It talks about when we have oxidative stress, we have something called ROS production, reactive oxygen species production, which goes up. And that accelerates the aging process, essentially, long story short. And so when you look at, this is a diagram of the heart and age-related oxidative stress. And we take free radicals in our bodies, either through our own choices or through our environment.
Right.
Those free radicals result in oxidative stress, including hypertension, of course, ischemia, which is a loss of blood flow, or reperfusion, which is the repair of damage to the heart, where you lose blood flow, atherosclerosis, which is these fatty plaque deposits in our arteries, and then, of course, heart failure.
Right.
So oxidative medicine increases age and really affects our cardiac function. And raising glutathione, as we just mentioned, which is the number one scavenger of antioxidants, is a big deal. This is really a really good article that comes out of Discover 12 Ways to Increase Glutathione. One of the recommendations was to get plenty of folate, B6, and B12, and they say as methylcobalamin to raise glutathione. In fact, methylation is crucial when it comes to keeping glutathione high and also taking alpha lipoic acid. What is this? This is all the stuff that's in, these ingredients are in Nufola.
Okay.
So the third, let's see, HAN, N is nitric oxide, increased, the third letter in our acronym of HANS. And just want to say here that from Drug Design Development and Therapy says that methylcobalamin upregulates the expression of nitric oxide. So that means you have more nitric oxide, which means better circulation, less vasoconstriction, so you're having less stress on your heart. And in Pharmacy Times, they also talk about the fact that with more nitric oxide, you can have augmented wound healing. So here's a photo. Now, this is actually my foot, and this happened in November of 2018. So we own 2 conveyor car washes. Your foot's not supposed to go down on the conveyor in that little channel. My foot did, and I was 6 feet from the conveyor where the sprocket pulls the chain. We pulled 6 trucks through. I would cut my leg off. My son turned off the conveyor just in time. I pulled my leg out. And the doctor said, well, what do you like to do? I said, well, I like to do all kinds of sports. He said, well, you're not going to be doing those. I can't even do surgery because the bones in your foot are crushed, your ankle.
Oh, my God.
And I took Nufola and did a lot of praying. Couldn't get surgery, and that's my foot now. Today I can do everything. So Nufola, to this day, I think really had something to do with the healing properties of my foot. And I think this can help a lot of diabetics as well.
Agreed.
Who have
healing and
peripheral neuropathy.
Yeah, exactly. So, about 2 minutes left here.
2 minutes, okay. So the D in HAND stands that Nufola can help increase dopamine and serotonin, and those are the neurotransmitters that are uppers.
Brain chemistry, yes.
Patients with diabetes and patients who have debilitations for one reason or another tend to become depressed. And if you take an antidepressant, what does it do? It blocks the reuptake of serotonin. Well, this is a natural substance. It's not an intervention that can also increase serotonin and help people feel better, less sad. And the last one is strength and stamina. Now, we've got plenty of references here about the fact that methylcobalamin and the other ingredients in Nufola help better ambulation. That means better walking and better quality of life. And then the last slide that I have talks about how did we decide to come out with Nufola. And we say, well, we can improve cardiovascular effectiveness and efficiency. If we can improve nerve function, if we can give people more energy, if we can help people think better, if we can give them a better outlook on life, and if we can do it with a pharma grade is really important. A pharma grade supplement that has few or no side effects for about $1 a day.
Yeah.
This is really a product that could be a winner, and it is a winner.
It is.
So that's why we decided to come out with Nufola.
And I'm so glad you did. It is a winner, and it's a kind of nice little packaged up all in one. So it's something we really like using. And so you can go to magnaweb.com and order. And these are things that patients can find without a doctor's intervention. Always ask your doctor though, and make sure that you are doing things safely and in the way that you should. It's necessary. But magnaweb.com, you can find that on my website, drpbetterlife.com, as well as all of our other shows. And Dr. Lesser, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great week.